There are over 2.3 million Americans held in prisons all across America today. American prisoners make up 20% of the worldwide prison population. And even with a per capita prison count, there's still an abnormally large amount of prisoners in the US when compared to another country. And this number isn't decreasing. Within 2 years, half of released prisoners re-enter the prison system. Many prisons across the US are ran privately, and these prisons and the policies they use when it comes to their prisoners are the biggest reasons for the large prison population we have today. These private prisons are innately businesses, and like any business, will cut costs. The way private prisons do this is by spending as little as they can on the prisoners' living conditions as they can. Along with this, prisons in the US are ran on a punitive system, a system that focuses entirely on holding the prisoners, with no regard for the prisoners' behavior after they're released from prison. Prisoners in the US must have good conditions and be treated with regard for the future. A reform-oriented prison system is the best way to reduce the reoffending rate and consequently the prison population. Rehabilitation programs are one of the best ways to reduce reoffending rates. Even implemented alone, rehabilitation programs massively impact the reoffending rates, even without changing the rest of the prison system. Many countries in Europe uses numerous rehabilitation programs, and they've been shown to reduce both the prison population and reoffending rates. If we know they work, why shouldn't we implement them? U.S. prisons already have extremely high reoffending rates due to the lack of rehabilitation programs. These programs reduce reoffending rates, and as such, will reduce prison population. The living conditions of prisoners must be improved. No matter what crime they committed, they are people and must be treated with respect. One of the worst parts of the prisoners' living conditions is what they're fed. The food is barely edible, it tastes horrible, and not to mention it's the worst for the prisoner's nutrition. This is terrible for the prisoner's health, but along with this have been shown to negatively affect their rehabilitation rates, their reoffending rates. Studies have shown that harsh conditions have negatively affected the reoffending rates of prisoners. Improving conditions is good not only for the prisoners, but also for the overall prisoner population. However, opponents will often cite cost as a common argument against this. The cost of rehabilitation programs and overall prison reform is the most commonly cited argument against prison reform. However, the U.S. already spends more than $80 million on the prisons annually. High prison population is the reason for this massively high cost. And rehabilitation programs' main goal is to reduce the prison population. This can mean that in the long run, rehabilitation programs can actually reduce the amount the U.S. spends on prisons. The people who most often use this argument, however, are the people running private prisons. Private prison owners are the biggest opponents to prison reform. The reason is obvious though. Any reduction to the overall prison population means a loss of income for the prison owners. And along with this, any increase in the living conditions of their prisoners means they have to increase their costs. Private prison owners will also lobby against anything that would reduce the conviction rate in the law. Most importantly, and recently, they have recently lobbied extremely hard against legalization of marijuana laws. Private prison lobbies fight tooth and nail to protect both their income and their costs, not because they think it will be better for the US's population or the overall prison population, but because they want to make as much money as possible. The US's prison population is a massive problem, but it has clear solutions. Implementation of rehabilitation programs and improvement in living conditions can both seriously affect the prison population for the good. Changes like this will have to happen on the state and federal level, however. So if you want to support prison reform, you should find your local representative and email them or get in contact with them somehow, like letter, anything works, and let them know for your support of prison reform. The future is always unknown to us. You or someone you know could go to prison in the future, and you want them to go to the best prison possible. Support prison reform, if not for the prisoners, then for your future.